My name is Echo Fang Grey Wolf. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey. Alright? Let me get rid of these damn things because they're annoying as fuck. So first, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Echo Fang Grey Wolf. You guys know my government name is James Williams Jr. If you've been following me, I've told you plenty of stories. And the one thing that I definitely tell you is that I give you 99.9. I do not lie to you because that's not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to get me any more followers. It's not going to get me any fans. So why is the name Echo Fang Grey Wolf? To honor my Cherokee heritage. Leave it there. This is more important than that. So I got an offer from a person I follow on Instagram to do a reading. Right now I can't afford it. No, she said it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap for somebody who has money. It's not cheap for someone who doesn't. I'm leaving her name off. She's a very beautiful lady. So leave it alone. And no, it's not my crush that I am in love with, Zeta Zen. It's not her. But I will say this. If you haven't had any spiritual or supernatural events in your life, sit down. You're going to like this. See, the thing about the spiritual realm and the supernatural, very few people can literally tap into the veil. Alright? For those who do not know what the veil is, go Google the spiritual veil. It should tell you. I can't spell it, but it should tell you. The veil is I guess you could say it's a wall in between realms of the spiritual realm and the reality in which we live in. And every now and again, some people can pierce through the veil. And every now and again, some creatures can cross through the veil. So when the offer came, I already had a spiritual awakening as soon as she said a reading. For those who do not know what a spiritual awakening is, let me explain that from my point of view. A spiritual awakening is when you have finally surpassed the realm of the impossibility and know that many things are impossible until they're done, and then the impossible becomes life. Alright? That's a woodpecker, not the predator. So, since I was a child, and many people in my family have certain gifts, like second sight for one. I don't have that. At least I don't think I can have that. But I have seen some shit. Alright? Let's put it that way so you don't think I'm fucking nuts. Just leave it at I've seen some shit. And by seeing some shit, I've seen ghosts. I've seen spirits, that kind of bullshit. This is not for fucking getting rates and all this. This has nothing to do with acting. This is just the reality in which I have learned to accept. Alright? As you all know, I also read a fuck ton of comic books. I have friends who read comic books. I do cosplay. Again, nothing to do with this video. Totally irrelevant. But I have told you the story of the floating head. I have told you the story of the witch rider. Alright? The thing that scientists are claiming as sleep paralysis, because apparently they forgot that paralysis means you cannot move. If you have paralysis in your blood for any split second, you are going to die if your blood stops flowing. Alright? So sleep paralysis, not an option. Alright? Let me explain that one more time. If your blood has paralysis, which means it's not moving, which means your heart has probably stopped and the flow of blood has stopped because your heart pumps the flow of blood through your body, back to the heart, back to your body. This is done at microt speed, alright? In fact, it is done in so fast increments that you probably can't really time it, alright? That being said, unless they put a monitor on your heart, you do not know how fast your blood is pumping in and out of your fucking blood system. Alright? So blood paralysis means you stop. Because anybody who has paralysis know that they can't fucking move. If blood had paralysis, you would fucking die. So the witch rider is clearly a real entity that chokes the fuck out of you while you are asleep. I do plan on proving that motherfucker exists because I touched it. So the offer about the reading. I already knew something was coming. I've been having a whole bunch of strange dreams of this week alone. It's only Tuesday. So Sunday night I had a fucked up ass dream. Saturday night I had a fucked up ass dream. Last night I had a fucked up ass dream. So I knew something was coming. I just couldn't explain it, but I knew something was coming. And I don't think that this is part of the something that's coming. But, we're not going to take anything for granted. When you are dealing with unnatural or supernatural forces, you have to tread lightly. All right? Since I've been on my reconnecting journey, I hadn't really had too many dreams until lately. So I have to be very mindful of how I guess, sequestered the knowledge that I'm trying to understand what the hell is happening. All right? So, psychic reading. I don't put anything past those psychics. I'm not going to say they're fake. Tarot card readings. I'm not going to say they're fake. I'm going to let you know there are some myth and legends that literally have some truth to them. So, here's the thing. If I can believe in God, I can believe in Coyote. I can believe in Thunderbird. I can believe in the Deer Woman. I can believe in Sasquatch. Am I going to go hunting them down? Fuck no. Because you do not do magic that you not understand. And you should not fuck with things that you have no business fucking with. If Sasquatch wants to live in those woods over there, Sasquatch can live in those woods over there. I'm not going to fuck with him. If Coyote the Chick just shows up and starts fucking with me and my family, I'm not going to really do anything because I know Coyote's really just trying to have some fun. Thunderbird, on the other hand, if he shows up, we know we have a problem. Sasquatch shows up, we know we have a problem. The Deer Woman shows up. I have been misled on some of her legends, so we're just going to say, if a sexy young woman shows up with her feet, she's here to kill me, and she'll probably stomp me to death. But see, the thing is, technically I was taught that she was a spirit of vengeance, and that she didn't go after native men. But I could be wrong, because of a story I learned on TikTok. I could be wrong, but like I said, I say this in many things, it depends on who you ask. And legends, tribal legends change with the tribe. If one tribe tells this story, and another tribe tells the same story, but it's different, like Wendigo, there's Wendigo where he's a cannibal, and there's Wendigo where he or she snatches children under the water and kill them, and then eat them, etc., etc. There's 1,000 different stories told by 1,000 different tribes that has 1,000 different twists. So you can't put any of that shit past these things. All right? We're 7 minutes and 45 seconds in, so just to let you guys know how long I've been talking and how dangerous these things can be. There are a lot of people that believe aliens are on Earth and amongst us. Not just because they used to watch the same cartoon I used to watch called BAD, the Bureau of Alien Detectors. Then there was MIB, the Men in Black, and then NIW, the Men in White. And all of these things have taken certain stories from folklore and made them to be true. I would say that the Bureau of Alien Detectors is probably a lot closer to right, but because it's a cartoon, people want to slap that shit off on the side. Yet thousands of people claim they've seen Sasquatch or Yeti, or have been attacked or killed by these things. There's a show I watched Sunday night where they have these 3 people in the woods looking for Bigfoot, 1 woman, 2 men, and like I said, they brought up Native American legends, and there was a reason why Native Americans didn't fuck with the forest giants or the sky people or anything else that they discovered, because natives know if you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone. If you keep treading too deep into their territory, you may discover something they don't want to discover, and they won't choose to tell anyone, so they're going to execute your shit. See where we're going? My supernatural stories are only that of the Witch Rider and that fucking floating head thing. I don't know what the floating head is. I haven't seen it since I was fucking 20-something years old when I almost cut off my middle finger. Alright? Also, I got buried by a box full of motherfucking fish in a walk-in for 30 goddamn minutes at Murray Steaks on West Main Street. So, you can't put anything past the supernatural. Not the TV show. The real supernatural shit in our world that we either don't want to face or we are too scared that fucking reality is stranger than fiction. I probably didn't say that phrase right, but you kind of want to do things. Kind of like the Mandela effect, how certain memories I have that other people keep telling me I'm wrong about, like sliding through dimensions. These things possibly are happening and most of us don't remember. Like, for instance, I remember all the bad treatment that I have and that I continue to receive from siblings and family members, but they seem to not remember certain events or certain things. I'm like, yeah. And then when you try to talk to them, oh, you're starting a fight. Oh, you're arguing. So maybe I don't belong on this earth. Maybe I slid into this dimension and just can't find my way back home, and maybe I'm stuck here. We don't know. I don't want to sound like a fucking nutball. And that whole phrase I just spoke makes me sound like a complete fucking lunatic. But what if the Mandela effect is real? What if at certain parts and certain times in your life you've managed to slide into another dimension and just can't slide back out to your dimension? Or maybe all of the dimensions are converging onto each other, leading to a big climax. I know that sounds like a comic book story, and that's probably one of the comic book stories, but one of my uncles, he was high as a fucking kite. But when I tell you what he said, it'll make sense to you. Because it made sense to me. I'm not a genius, for the most part, unless it's like martial arts shit. I'm not a genius in certain fields of action. But I will tell you, on this field, my uncle, high as fuck. Stanley was still alive at the time, and I was exceptionally young. And my uncle was probably about the age I am now when he said this shit. And I thought about it. I never stopped thinking about it, even till this day at 48. I still haven't stopped thinking about it. Because he asked me this, and he said, what if? Yeah, funny I would bring Stan Lee and what if at the same time, from a man who is high as a fucking kite. So, he had just smoked some weed. So he said, what if Stan Lee can see all these other dimensions and made millions of dollars by writing these stories for Marvel? And not only is he able to see this, but he is the catalyst to write all of the adventures that all of the Marvel heroes have written. All of the X-Men, all of the Avengers, all of the other things. And maybe Stan Lee's seen all that shit before, and he just decided, hey, let me talk to Jack Kirby, let me talk to Ditka, let me talk to McFarlane and all of them, and get them to draw all these amazing things that I see every time I close my eyes. Maybe it's not just his imagination. Maybe he could peer into different dimensions and see all these things transpiring, which is what started all the multiverses and all the comics and shit in the first place. And then with the MCU making Stan Lee technically a watcher in his last couple of appearances. I believe his last appearance he was a watcher. I forgot which movie it was in. But that was the last one he appeared in before he died. Died, which means it was filmed before Captain Marvel's movie appearance, because that was the last appearance in the MCU he made before he died. But there was a movie before that he appeared with a bunch of watchers at the end, and they all walked off and left him, and he was there still talking, but it was Stan Lee. That was the last one he did, really, before he died. But, you know, you film all these things at about the same time, and then they have to set in the editing room, and the story has to be put together, and all this other shit before the shit comes out. So, either way, you know, what if he was the catalyst to seeing in all these other dimensions and putting it all together, and then you have the Marvel Universe? And maybe the same thing can be said with Bob Kane for Batman, or the two men who made Superman, and definitely for the OG comics, Dick Tracy, Phantom, Flash Gordon, Mandrake, and Lothar, you know, because they were like in the 40s, 30s and 40s, before Batman and them even came out. You know, you had Dick Tracy and the Phantom, and you had Flash Gordon, you had Mandrake and Lothar, and they mostly were serials for the newspaper. So what if all these writers with these imaginations are really attached to the catalyst of seeing other universes? This is why I said you can't put anything past supernatural forces, because you just don't know. You know, and not knowing isn't a crime, but it also opens up your eyes to the realm of the impossible, or the possibility of what if? What if all these things exist on some different plane, which swings you back around to the veil? So, the spiritual veil, you know, it is a wall into other dimensions. Same thing like when Batman and Superman have to deal with Mitsuplik and Batmite from the fifth dimension. What if those places are real and we just can't tap into them yet because we're not ready? Maybe that also has something to do with the Mandela effect and why I remember certain things different than everybody else, because some of us might be chosen and we just slide through random dimensions and we get stuck for a certain amount of time. And in those dimensions, we are to learn things, and I clearly haven't learned my lesson yet because I'm still stuck here. But just take that as you will. People who wrote The Twilight Zone, Rod Sterling. People who wrote Outer Limits. People who wrote Tales from the Dark Side. Maybe these people are catalysts. They can see into other dimensions. Like they're telling someone else's real life story, giving people like me, actors, a job. But this has really happened to people who we don't really look like. But casting director says, I want them to look like this. Because the writer said, this is what I want them to look like. Because the writer probably saw it in their head, in a dream, in a vision. And they decided, hey, maybe this is it. But like I said, I got this information or this thought process from an uncle who was high as a fucking kite. But what if, because they say this in a lot of native sweat lodges and other things, what if when you get high, you transcend through dimensions, time, and space? Which is probably another reason why people get high all the fucking time. The reason why I don't believe in drugs is because I know I'm going to fucking kill people. Which is why I don't do drugs. I don't drink and I don't smoke out of fear of what I am capable of doing unconsciously. Now, as a martial artist, you can hurt people without even trying. I know I have done it unconsciously when I split my dad's shit from here to there because he snuck up on me and I just threw an elbow. No, it was a reflex. I threw an elbow. I saw hands. My body reacted before I could think. So, understanding that concept. What about supernatural forces? What about seeing beyond the veil? Do you ever ask yourself, like deja vu, I've done this before, and maybe you have, just not in the dimension you are currently in. No, think about shit like that. It will blow your fucking mind. I know, I've had deja vu more than once or twice in my life, and I'm 48. I'm like, damn, have I been here before? And I could point out shit that I've never ever seen. I will say this, like when I was in fucking living in the projects in middle school, I had the ability to see movies without going to the theater. I literally would, like, if I had money to go to the theater, I'd go see one movie and wind up seeing one movie, but then a commercial comes on for another movie, and I could tell the whole movie without even going to see the movie. So that kind of had me a little bit worried, and that, okay, nobody else can do this. I'll keep that shit to myself. And then, my big sister would see this movie. She's like, I'm going to see it. And I was like, okay. And she goes back. I would tell her what happened in the movie. And I hadn't literally gone to the theater to see it, but I'd seen the whole fucking movie. And then I'd go see the movie, and it'd be exactly how I told it. See what I'm saying? So maybe the Mandela effect is real, and maybe universes are colliding, and the other me may have seen this shit. And I just received the memories. Save me a lot of money, I'll go to the movies. But the thing is, we all have to figure this shit out without, destroying each other. Like I said, I have squabbles with siblings. And I try to explain to them, what you're doing is wrong. And they, in turn, will continue to do what's wrong because they'll tell me, oh, you think you're better than me. It's like, no, it's just fucking simple science. The simple fact that you have the money and the means to go buy shit that you should go buy instead of using my shit or waiting until the last minute. It's the same thing with telling the truth. It's the same exact thing with telling the truth. Watch this. See that chair right there? I see a red chair. If you're watching this and you made it this far, if you see a red chair, type it in the comments. You might not see a red chair. You might just see a chair. I see a red chair. I'm in a gray Army shirt with black letters written on it. It says Army. If you're not seeing that, then maybe it's something else going on. And then you have people who mysteriously disappear. And you have people who think about how the Matrix could be real and how we're all stuck in the Matrix. And to those people I say, well, here's the thing. in the Matrix, certain people unalive themselves thinking that they were going to wake up from the Matrix and find out, no, you're not in the fucking Matrix. But if we are in the Matrix, I can almost guarantee you we're probably all dead, just like Lost. But you got to weigh in the pros and cons. I'm not gonna ever believe we're in the Matrix until I see somebody I personally fucking know fly into my neighborhood and say, "Hey, watch what I can do," and then they start flying, shooting laser beams and shit. It's like, "Hey, fix my fucking hip. Get rid of this metal and give me back my bone structure so that I can go back to doing kung fu. I don't need to fly. I just need to be able to fight like I used to." No. So you gotta weigh these things out. I know this video has taken the turn for the fucking worst on the lunatic scale. Alright? But just how often do you question your reality? How often do you question what is put before you? How often do you question your feelings? Like I said, I got offered a psychic reading. If I had the money to spare right now, I'd take it. But I don't have the money to spare right now, which is another reason why I left the beautiful lady's name off. Now, I can honestly put it to you in a nutshell. You have to figure out a lot of things in life, and you will, or you won't. I mean, it's really gonna be a matter of timing and choice. Choice is a thing that we still have. Lots of people don't want to deal with choice because they don't want to deal with consequence. A lot of people do not like consequences. Alright? Lots of people do not like consequences. And your choices lead to consequences. For you to not like consequences, then you need to not make bad choices that give you consequences. Alright? Understand how that works. Because any choice you make today can either come back and bite you in the ass tomorrow, or it can come back and bite you in the ass 10 years from now. I was talking to a young kid yesterday. I will leave his name off. Shout out to that kid. He's a friend of my nephew. He's actually my nephew's cousin, but he's not kin to me. I asked him, do you want a job or do you want a career? And I explained to him how social media gets people fired. And I explained to him how if you think you can go anywhere and not be caught on somebody's camera, as I explained it, even some of the poorest people in America, homeless people, have cell phones. I don't know how they pay for them, but they have cell phones. But just because you're homeless doesn't mean you're jobless. It just means you're homeless. I'm technically homeless myself. But the thing is, I could be doing a lot better. I could have done a lot better if the reality of my siblings would have been taken into consideration by my siblings versus me. My light is going to die, my battery, so I'm going to have to make a part 2. So, thank you for watching. That being said, I am Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I'll make part 2 from my room.